Story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all reading? I just can't wait to be hearing.
Good morning, and welcome to Story Time. Thank you for joining me. I am glad that we're here together for another week of amazing stories, another week of exciting stories, and of course, another week of building community together. Thank you so much for being here. Absolutely appreciate you, and I hope that you are having a lovely start to your day. Indeed, if it is evening where you are, I hope that you have a lovely evening. I hope that you had a lovely day indeed. And of course, if you're joining us bright and early in your morning, well, we'll wish you a good day ahead, and of course hope that you've had a lovely start to your day. Thank you so much for joining in, and of course remember, if you missed Storytime over the weekends, we are here available in our archives on YouTube, as well as Facebook, as well as at storytimewithmrlimada.com. Please do find Storytime and get to enjoy the lovely stories and conversations that we've had over the last 2.5 years. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Thank you for being here. I am glad we're here together. This week we'll be exploring a very deep topic, a very heavy topic, and this, we'll be exploring death and what does it mean to lose loved ones, and also how do we navigate those conversations with our little ones. So we're going to be using some books, reading some books, of course, and trying to see how those can help us. And today we start off with this one, which is The Stuff of Stars, and this one is by MARION, DANE, BAUER, and EKUA Holmes, award-winning EKUA Holmes. This award-winning duo bringing us a very, very beautiful book. This one just talks about the beginnings of life and the Big Bang Theory and all that. And so I know that there are many thoughts, like there are other thoughts out there. Like, for example, if you believe in the Bible, there's the creation story, right? And so just bringing this and wanted to share this one because it talks about, like the beginning of life. And then we get to talk about other books as well in the week. We're going to look at other books that talk about, the end of life. And so we just wanted to see, like, how do we cope? Those that are left behind, what supports can we put in place so that people get, they can get the comfort and support that they need, and also be allowed to grieve in their own ways, but also thinking about how difficult these conversations are to have with little ones. So what can help us? What can we do together as a community and begin to have these important conversations in our homes, in our schools, in our larger communities? Thank you so much for joining in Storytime, and I hope that you're ready this week to dive into that. I know it is heavy, but definitely as one person who's had loss in my life, and even just this week, news coming from home, there's just so much that happens, and I just felt like it is a conversation that needs to be had. And one way is to definitely have it with our little ones, so it is not as much of a shock when it happens, and just just important to be ready, to be prepared, and also to know that there are ways we can find supports out there to deal with these things, especially something as important as heavy, and something that is always around us as death. Thank you so much for joining in Story Time. I hope that you still enjoy the stories that we're going to bring. We're bringing back some favorites and one brand new one, so I hope you're excited for that one on Friday. And of course, today we start with the Staff of Stars, coming to you from Candlewick Press. MARION, DANE, BAUER, and EKUA HOLMES. Thank you, big thank you indeed to Candlewick Press for allowing us to share this lovely book here on Storytime. Thank you. Please remember, if you're here, to let us know you're here. Leave us a message, say hi, so indeed we can say hello back to you, and indeed continue to share and wish you a lovely day indeed. Thank you for being here. Let us see who is with us this morning, ready to enjoy our story. Good morning to you, Chrissy Mitchell Adams. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining in. And of course, the amazing Borden. Thank you for being here on Storytime. Thank you for joining us from out in cloudy Vermont. Well, it sounds like Oakland today. It is cloudy out here today. It should get a little bit warmer later on. I think we should be hitting about 76, so just be prepared if you're here in the Bay Area. Do check the weather in your area so you know exactly what you need to do, what you need to carry with you. And like I always say, it is better to carry layers, be hot, and then take them off, peel them off as needed, than to be cold and needing a jacket and not having it close. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Good morning to you, Chris Mitchell Adams, and of course Borden out in Vermont, where it is cloudy today. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you. Thank you indeed. Good morning to you, Amanda West, and of course Sarah and Nathan in hot and humid Illinois. Hope everyone stayed safe this weekend. Well, thank you so much for joining in, and I am glad that you're here. I hope that you had a lovely weekend too. And Sarah and Nathan, appreciate you. Thank you for being here. I hope that you enjoy this lovely story that we have today together. And of course, Amanda, I read your blog, your story. I was just thinking as I was reading, as I selected shorts. Thank you for sharing your experience with voting and working at the polling station. Thank you for your service, and indeed, may many of us participate in our civic duties. And yes, indeed, if you can't work the polls, at least vote if you can. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. And indeed, Amanda's write-up is a good read for anyone that is willing to work the polls and just see the joy that comes from it, but also some of the difficulties that you may go through. Thank you so much. Well, let's call them challenges that you may go through. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. As you know, when you work in anything that is customer care, you definitely will have those challenges, and you're dealing with people. So thick skin is needed for that. Thank you so much for joining in. Good morning to you, Sarah and Nathan, and of course Amanda. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here on Storytime with us. I hope you're ready. Please, I hope that you're also finding a space that is cool out there in hot and humid Illinois. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning to you, Susan. How are you doing right here in Oakland? Yes, indeed, cloudy out here in Oakland. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. I am glad that you're here, Susan. I hope that everything goes well with you. And Susan, I will be transitioning into a new job as well. I will be keeping you informed on that, letting you know very soon what's happening. Thank you so much for joining into Storytime. I am glad that you're here. I hope that you have your coffee. I hope that you have everything that makes your morning wonderful. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Very, very good morning to you, Susan. Adrian joining us from Oakland. Good morning to you. This, I have to say here, is my brother Katota. How are you doing, Bijangambaya? Thank you so much for being here, my brother. I appreciate you. And indeed, I'll be in touch. I know I'm late on a few things, but we'll be catching up. Thank you so much for joining in. Love you to bits, and always good to see you here on Storytime. Thank you so much for joining in. I hope that you are well out in Lusaka, Zambia. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes, indeed. And we're rooting on for the Shipolo Polo as they're at the African Cup of Nations, the Women's African Cup of Nations. And we wish you all the best, Shipolo Polo. And please bring the glory to Zambia. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. And of course, Barbara Banda, we are with you. And Kaf, I don't know what you're doing, but thank you so much indeed. Just know that the nation is behind you indeed. Thank you so much for joining us on Storytime. Good morning to you one more time, Susan. Can't wait to hear all about it. Got my coffee, of course. as it should be, as it should be. Thank you so much for joining in. Let's get together soon. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. And we're getting started very shortly. The stuff of stars. Yes, that is what you all are here. Beautiful indeed. And we'll be getting started with this one very shortly. MARION, DANE, BAUER, and EKUA HOLMES. You know you're in for a treat if these two get together. Thank you so much for joining in. Please join me on the other side for our story. Short break, and we will be right back. Thank you indeed for being here with me on Storytime this morning. All right, I'll see you on the other side.
How you doing? This is Jonathan Marshall. I'm author of the books I'll Be Right There, Does It Rain Food, and also on the way, Me and My Kazoo at the Zoo. And you're here with Storytime with Mr. Lamata.
Good morning to you. Thank you to you, Jonathan Marshall. Indeed, you know all the amazing books that we've read here on Storytime, including his latest, Me and My Kazoo at the Zoo. Please find it and enjoy it. If you want to see what it's all about, check it out on the Storytime platforms, and please do support these independent creators. Thank you so much for being here. The Stuff of Stars is what we're reading today, and this one we're reading with permission of CANDLEWICK Press, and this one is written by MARION, DANE, BAUER, and illustrations by EKUA HOLMES. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Get ready, get comfortable, get cozy as we get started with our story. Go, go, go. Did you grab your coffee already like Susan? Or did you grab your drink? That drink that makes your morning all the more perfect. Thank you so much for joining in. The Stuff of Stars, written by MARION, DANE, BAUER, illustrated by EKUA HOLMES, and read with permission and published by CANDLEWICK Press. Find this one at your local library. In the dark, in the dark, in the deep, deep dark, a speck floated, invisible as thought, weighty as God. There was yet no time. There was yet no space. No up, no down, no edge, no center. In the dark, in the dark, in the deep, deep dark. No earth with soaring hawks, scuttling beetles, trees reaching for the sky. There was no sky, no you, no me, only the speck, waiting, waiting. No earth with soaring hawks, scuttling beetles, or trees reaching for the sky. There was no sky, no you, no me, only the speck, waiting, waiting. And then the beginning of all beginnings went bang. And then the beginning of all beginnings went, yes, bang. And in a trillionth of a second, our universe was born. A cloud of gas unfolded, unfurled, zigged, zagged, stretched, collided, expanded, and expanded some more. Bits bumped, gathered, and fused. And throughout the cosmos, stars caught fire. Trillions of stars, but still no planets to attend those stars. And if no planets, then no oceans, no mountains, no hippopotami, no violets blooming in a shady wood, no crickets singing to the night, no day, no night. And throughout the cosmos, stars caught fire. Trillions of stars, but still no planets to attend to those stars. And if no planets, then no oceans, no mountains, No hippopotami, no violets blooming in the shady wood, no crickets singing to the night, no day, no night. The stars burned and burned. They burned so long and so hot that some of them, boom, exploded, flinging stardust everywhere. They burned so long and so hot that some of them exploded, flinging stardust everywhere. And the ash of those dying stars gathered into planets, and the planets circled other stars. But still, no bluebirds, no butterflies, still no snails, no giraffes, still no you, no me. The planets closest to the star stayed very hot. The stars, the ones far away, grew very cold. The planets closest to their star stayed very hot. The ones far away grew very cold. But one lucky planet, a fragile blue ball we call Earth, was neither too far nor too near. It circled its yellow star, the one we call the sun, from just the right distance and with just the right tilt to be sometimes warm and sometimes cool. But one lucky planet, a fragile blue ball we call Earth, was neither too far nor too near. It circled its yellow star, the one we call the sun, from just the right distance and with just the right tilt to be sometimes warm and sometimes cool. Perfect for turning that starry stuff into mitochondria, jellyfish, spiders into ferns, and sharks, and into daisies and galloping horses. Again and again, stardust gave birth to stardust. Yes, indeed. Perfect for turning the starry stuff into mitochondria, jellyfish, spiders into ferns, and sharks into daisies and galloping horses. Again and again, stardust gave birth to stardust. Dinosaurs lived and died, making room for humans. Our great, great, great grandparents, all before them, lived and died, making room for more and more children. Yes, indeed. Dinosaurs lived and died, making room for humans. Our great, great, great grandparents and all before them lived and died, making room for more and more children. Then, one day, in the dark, in the dark, in the deep, deep dark, another speck floated, invisible as dreams, special as love. Waiting, waiting, dividing, changing, growing, until at last you burst into the world. Yes, that little speck, waiting, dividing, changing, growing, until at last you burst forth into the world. You took a big breath of the same air once breathed by woolly mammoths. You cried tears that were once salty seas. Your hair once the carbon in a leaf. Ah, the interconnectedness of life. You took a big breath of the same air once breathed by woolly mammoths. You cried tears that were once salty seas. Your hair once the carbon in a leaf. You and the velvet moss, the caterpillars, the lions, you and the singing whales, the larks and the frogs. Yes, you all came to exist. You and the velvet moss, the caterpillars, the lions, you and the singing whales, the larks and the frogs. You and me, loving you, all of us, the stuff of stars. Yes, indeed. You and me, loving you, all of us, the stuff of stars. Wow. And that is the end of our book today. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. I am so glad that you were here indeed to enjoy this lovely, lovely book, this beautiful book. I enjoy this so much. Every time I look at this book or get to read it in the classroom, it is just one that definitely brings joy and brings such a topic, explaining such a topic, makes explaining such a topic so easy to our little ones. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. I hope you enjoyed it. This classic coming to you from MARION Dane Bauer, and illustrations by EKUA HOLMES. And of course, this one is called The Stuff of Stars, and this is coming to you from CANDLEWICK Press. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime today. Absolutely appreciate you. And yes, indeed, as we think of the memories of all our loved ones gone, but also as we enjoy just the memories, as we celebrate the memories of them here with us. Thank you so much for joining in. I am glad that you are here to enjoy this lovely story. And like I said, this week we are exploring the topic of death and, of course, losing loved ones, but also the memories that we get to celebrate and enjoy of those loved ones. And, of course, the different legacies that they've left us out behind here. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. I hope you enjoyed it. It is indeed a beautiful one. Please join me tomorrow as we bring back another exciting book that we've had here on Storytime many times. And trust me, this will not be the last time that this book is coming back. It is from the amazing Angela Darton, and this one is called If You Look Up to the Sky. Please do join me for this one. Illustrations by Margarita Sikorskaya. Thank you so much for joining in, and I hope that you join me tomorrow for that lovely, lovely book. Thank you for being here on Storytime. Please let me know where you're joining in from and who is joining in with you. And indeed, I hope you get to enjoy those lovely books. And of course, please do send me your recommendations so we can bring them here to Storytime. Thank you so much for being here. Absolutely appreciate you. Let's see one more time who was with us this morning. And yes, indeed, Chrissy, I agree with you 100%. It is such a beautiful book, such beautiful illustrations, and yeah, one that you can read over and over, and you know, like every page good to be read 3-4 times within one reading. Thank you so much for joining in. And you say, what a beautiful book. Love the artwork and message. Thank you indeed. Absolutely appreciate you. And I hope that indeed we'll see you again tomorrow for more story time. I hope that you have a lovely day out there. Of course, Borden, sending you hugs and love. And yes, lots happening. So what I'll be doing too, please do check out if you're there's a lot happening, relating to the Supreme Court, relating to, you listen to the news. There's just so much that is happening right now. And so I've decided to share about 5 to 6 books that I think help us talk about these conversations, and some of them we read last week, so we're going to be sharing those. Just look out on the platforms and read about them, and indeed share them with friends. Let them know that there are these books that allow us to have these conversations, hard conversations, big topics with our little ones in small sized bites that are fit, like that we can share easily, and indeed build on those conversations. We can just have a little bit of a conversation here today and indeed build on it tomorrow and the other day. It is a process. It is an ever going process, and it is an active process. So definitely look out for those books that we'll be posting on our platforms, and just see where you can find those lovely books. Indeed, thank you so much for joining in Storytime, and I wish you the very best as we try to talk to our children, as we try to talk to our little ones on these many topics, many issues that are happening in the world. Yes, indeed. Of course, this week on Storytime, we will also be focusing on what it means to lose a loved one, and indeed how we can cope, what supports we can find, and indeed what that means for us, and what it means for our own lives. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Always a pleasure to be here with you. I hope that indeed we've set you off on a good start to your day. And indeed, thank you for letting us be a part of your day this morning or evening or whatever time it is where you are. Absolutely appreciate it. Do not take it for granted. And indeed, let your friends know that Storytime is here and we're here to build community together. Thank you so much for joining in. Oh, good morning to you with the reading club. Thank you so much for joining in, Miss Ingrid. It has been forever. I am glad you're here. I hope everything is going well out there in Patagonia, Argentina. And you say hello. It has been long indeed listening to the story, having some mates in this really cold morning over there. Wow. Thank you indeed. We appreciate you. Friends, good morning to you as well. Is it good afternoon out there in Patagonia? We appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And I hope indeed that you have fun out there at the reading club. But who can't have fun when you are at the reading club? Books galore, books all around, stories all around to get lost in. Thank you so much for joining in. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining in. Susan, I hope you enjoy the rest of your morning. Thank you for being here. You say, great story. It is indeed a beautiful story. Thank you to all of you that have been here with us. I will see you again tomorrow for more story time. And indeed, like my friend Dr. Akila Cadet says, do the work. The work of justice never ends. The work of, fighting for rights, the work of holding people accountable never ends. Yes, indeed. So we are out there. Let's do the work. Please do not give up. Find spaces that will help you, support you, and indeed so you can stay encouraged to continue giving of yourself. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Please have yourselves a lovely day. Hugs from me, and I'll see you again tomorrow for more Storytime when we are back with If You Look Up to the Sky. This one coming to you from Angela Darton and Margarita Sikoskaya. Join me tomorrow for more story time. Much love from me, and I will see you again. Bye-bye.
Story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be